So today we're going to talk about parallel lines and how to solve for x. If I am giving a set of parallel lines that's cut by a transversal and I see this symbol tells me that that transversal is perpendicular to the parallel lines. This symbol also tells me that this angle represents 90 degrees. That's important to know because if I am actually trying to solve for x, which I am in this instance, I would need to understand the type of angles that I'm working with. What I have is an angle that is underneath the top line that if I were to pick it up and place it on this angle that's on the bottom line, they would be the same measure. That is called corresponding angles. So corresponding angles, again, just means that you're matching the angles and they are congruent. This is the sign for congruent. Congruent means they are equal. Well, if that's the case, I know that this angle is equal to this one, so that's how I'm going to set up my equation. 11x plus 13 is equal to this angle, which is 90 degrees. That's why it's important to understand what that symbol stands for. If you ever see that little symbol, that's what that means. It means 90 degrees. I would like to further isolate my x. I'm trying to get my x on the side by itself, so I'm going to start undoing things. I have a positive 13. To undo that, I would subtract both sides by 13. That makes that 0, and now I'm left with 11x is equal to, and then I do my math over here, and that's 77. Okay, and now I'm trying to get x by itself. I'm going to divide it by what's stopping it from being by itself, which is 11. When I do that, I recognize that my x value is going to be 77 times 7. So let's pull out our calculator, even though we should already know that's 7, but 77 divided by 11, and it is 7. So now, if you wanted to verify, which I would strongly suggest that you do, you would take that 7 and you would substitute it in. So 11 times the 7 that you just said that x represents plus 13, and again, do your math. Once you do your math, you said down here that once I substitute in that x, it's going to equal 90. So let's see if that's true. 11 times 7 is 77, and then you add 13, and it is exactly what you said it would be, 90 degrees. So this is your answer, and that's how you checked it. Now the next one, the angles are actually on the same side and they're interior. Interior means it's in between the two parallel lines. So it's inside. That's what interior means. So same side. And sometimes you'll hear the word consecutive or see the word consecutive. It means the same thing. The main thing you're looking for is interior. They're on the same side inside of your parallel lines, so they're interior. Okay, so the way that you would set this one up is you would have to understand before we set this up. You have to understand if it's same side interior, that means that it's supplementary. Supplementary means I add two angles together and set them equal to 180. So this whole angle the whole angle is x plus 129 plus, so that's my first angle, the other angle, x plus 67, and it has to equal 180 degrees because, again, these are considered supplemental angles. Which means it has to equal 180. All right, so now to undo. Well, first I want to combine like terms. So if I'm combining my like terms, I take my x plus another x, which is 2x, and now I add 129 plus 67, 129 plus 67, and that gives me 196. And I set that equal to 180 already. So now I want to try to further isolate, and I'm trying to get x by itself, which means I'm going to have to move this 196 over. And so therefore I'm subtracting, and I end up with 2x is equal to negative 16. Well, when I divide both sides by this 2, negative 16 divided by 2 is going to give me a negative 8. Yes, you can have a negative if it's the x. You cannot have a negative if it's the measure. So if they are asking for the measure of the angle, you are going to substitute that negative 8 in, and then negative 8. So let's do that actually. Let's just go ahead and check our work. If I put a negative 8 plus 129, and I'm doing plus 129 because that's what they told me, I'm going to end up with a positive 121. And now I take that same negative 8 and I add it to 67. And now when I do my math, it's 67 minus 8, and I'm going to end up with 59. If this negative 8 is correct, those two answers should add up to equal 180. One angle plus another angle when it's same side interior equals 180 degrees, and that's what happened. So yes, that is correct as well. Okay, so for the next ones, I'm just going to show you how to solve for x so the video is not super long, and then you know how to go back and check it if you need to go back and check. In this one, these are considered alternate exterior. Exterior because they are outside of the parallel lines. Alternate because they are on the opposite side of that transversal. This line is called a transversal. So alternate exterior angles. And what you need to know about them is that they are also congruent. So congruent, again, means that they're going to be equal to one another. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to set it equal. 17x minus 5. This time it's equal, not a plus. 15x plus 5. And now we want to start isolating to get x by itself. So subtract 15x on both sides. And that gets rid of it on that side, and I'm left with 2x minus 5 equals 5. And then I want to isolate that 5 or move the constant over. So plus 5. I'm down to, sorry about that, 2x is equal to 10. And once I divide both sides by 2, and I'm dividing by 2 because again I'm trying to get x by itself, x becomes 5. That's when it's alternate exterior. Now this time it looks similar, but it's alternating, right? But this time it's inside, so it's alternate interior angles inside of the parallel lines. Alternate, and I'm going to abbreviate, interior. Just think of the word in like inside angles. And then for this one, just think of exit. Exit is like you're going outside. I guess it didn't want to change colors on me. Okay, so now I know that they both are congruent. Congruent means equal. I'm just going to set them equal to one another. So 11x plus 3 is equal to 80. Could I have written 80 is equal to 11x plus 3? Yes. I personally like my variable on the left-hand side, but it's up to you. Now I want to start trying to get x by itself, so I do the inverse, which is subtracting 3 on both sides. I'm left with 11x is equal to 77. And now I want to divide both sides by what's stopping x from being by itself, which is 11. I have no idea why my computer is acting up. Sorry about this. X is equal to 7. That's my final answer. And I would substitute that back in, and you can quickly see this one. If you were to put 7 here, 11 times 7 is 77. 77 plus 3 is 80. Remember, they're equal. That's what congruent is telling me. If they're congruent, they're also equal. So I know that that one's correct. And finally, we're going to look at something that is known as vertical angles. Vertical angles are the angles that are across from one another, and they too are congruent. So with a vertical angle, it looks to me, I can see a V. I see a V and I see another V. That's how I can kind of tell that it's a vertical angle. All right, on this vertical angle, I am going to set them equal to each other because if I ever see congruent, that's how I'm going to set up my equation. I like the variable on the left-hand side. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. They are the same, so I just need to, they're the same measure once I solve for x, so I just need to solve for x. So I am going to end up subtracting 59 on both sides, and x is going to be a negative number, negative 6, because I have 53 minus 59. So when I have signs that are different, I'm going to subtract and take the sign of the larger absolute value, which is 59. I take this, since this is the last one, we'll go ahead and just double check our work. And in double checking our work, we're going to substitute this x back in. Negative 6, which is your x, plus 59, you guessed it, it should equal 53 because they're vertical angles and vertical angles have the same measure. That's how I know I did it correctly. All right, hope that helped you guys.